In the stillness of a desert night, when the world moved slowly under a sky full of silent stars, a bus carrying Umrah pilgrims traveled peacefully from Makkah toward Medina. Inside the bus, families rested, whispered prayers, and held close the comfort of faith. The road ahead was long but calm, lit only by faint highway reflectors and the soft glow of interior lights. No one on board could imagine that within moments, their journey of worship would turn into a night of fire, fear, and unimaginable loss. Far ahead on the same lonely stretch of road, an oil tanker rolled through the darkness. Heavy, powerful, and carrying thousands of liters of fuel, it moved steadily under the guidance of a tired driver pushing through the night. The desert wind brushed past its metal frame, and the rhythmic sound of its massive tires echoed through the empty highway. Two vehicles, two separate lives, two different purposes, quietly drawing closer, unknowingly converging toward a single tragic point on the Makkah-Medina road. In a matter of seconds, everything changed. A slight drift, a lane shift, a momentary miscalculation. Whatever the cause, destiny closed the distance between the bus and the tanker. Skid marks screeched across the asphalt. Dust lifted sharply into the air. Before anyone could react, metal collided with metal in a brutal, deafening impact. The desert night, once peaceful and serene, was shattered by the violent sound of a collision that would soon ignite a firestorm. The impact ruptured the tanker's fuel supply. Diesel sprayed across the vehicles, glistening briefly in the headlights before a spark, small, barely visible, ignited an inferno. Flames burst outward with a force that tore through glass, steel, and silence. The bus was swallowed in an instant by the roaring blaze. Shattered windows exploded outward. Smoke rose like a dark pillar toward the sky. The fire danced violently, feeding on metal, rubber, and spilled fuel. In seconds, the highway had transformed into a corridor of fire. Inside the bus, chaos erupted. The lights flickered. The air filled with smoke so thick it choked the breath of every soul trapped inside. Passengers panicked, their voices struggling to rise above the roar of the flames. Seatbelts became obstacles. Windows became escapes. A man slammed his shoulder against a window, desperately trying to create an opening. A mother shielded her child, whispering trembling prayers. Fear spread faster than the fire itself. Each second inside the burning bus felt like a battle for life. From the outside, the scene was surreal and horrifying. The bus glowed like molten iron, its body warped and burning with unrelenting intensity. Flames towered into the night sky, illuminating the desert for miles. The tanker lay tilted, leaking more fuel, feeding the inferno. Debris, luggage, and personal belongings lay scattered, glowing under the blaze. The peaceful road had become a battlefield of fire and destruction. One that would never be forgotten by anyone who witnessed it. Sirens cut through the night as rescue teams raced toward the flames. Firefighters leapt into action the moment their trucks came to a halt. Hoses were unrolled, water blasted into the fire, and brave men in protective suits stepped into the heat. Steam rose as water met fire. The roar of flames mixed with the shouts of rescuers commanding one another. Time worked against them, but their courage pushed them forward. Every second mattered. Every life mattered. In the glow of flashlights and emergency lights, rescuers searched the smoky darkness for survivors. Injured passengers were carried out on stretchers, trembling and dazed. Medics knelt beside them, checking pulses, bandaging burns, offering words of comfort. Some survivors cried silently, overwhelmed by shock. Others looked back at the burning bus, unable to process what had happened. Ambulances sped away, sirens echoing through the desert. For those who survived, this night would remain carved into memory forever. As dawn broke, the flames finally died, leaving behind a scene of charred ruin. The bus was reduced to a skeletal frame, blackened metal twisted in unnatural shapes. The tanker stood crippled, its surface scorched. Investigators walked carefully around the wreckage, collecting evidence, identifying personal belongings, and marking the positions where lives had been lost. The rising sun cast a soft golden light on the destruction, turning the crash site into a haunting silhouette against the desert landscape. A night of tragedy had become a morning of sorrow. Miles away, families waited anxiously at help centers, clutching phones, reciting prayers, hoping for good news. Officials moved from person to person, giving updates with heavy hearts. For some families, hope turned into heartbreak. Tears flowed freely. Voices broke, Mothers cried out for sons who would not return. Fathers stared silently into the ground. In a corner, a woman held prayer beads, whispering verses for those who had passed. The tragedy was not just an accident. It was a wound that touched countless lives across borders. A reminder of how fragile every journey can be.